So now this table, I've not completed it, right? I always leave it like that. Every strategy so the things I'm going to teach you at the end of the whole mentorship, you can just follow what I've taught you or limit yourself to some of the things because the information I'm going to give you is going to be a lot, right? Now,
Okay.
some people are not everybody is the same, okay? For me, I know all the things I'm teaching. They are in my head because I've taught several times, so they are in my head. So I can see them and then just I can go on the chart. Today I'm trading SNR, CSNR level. So this is an important SNR level. Tomorrow I'm trading an engulfing. Tomorrow I'm trading a pattern, right? Because
Mhm.
I can see them. I'm used to them. But at the end of this session, what you can do is that you limit yourself to certain some particular thing. Okay. So among all the things that I've been teaching and all those, the major thing that I trade is this particular pattern that I like. Right? So you know that everybody knows that I like patterns.
Mhm.
Because why do I like patterns? Personally, I started trading patterns in 2018. I was trading harmonic. Have you heard of harmonic patterns?
Yes, I'm familiar with it.
Yes. So I started my trading journey as a harmonic trader. So I was trading this, let's say this is a cipher. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Then we have the Gatli, something like this.
Yeah.
We have the bats. Okay. I was trading all those. We have the butterfly.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was trading all those things. So I'm used to pattern and no patterns, right? By the end of the day, okay, what when I discovered Bystra, I realized that the patterns that I've learned, okay, are the same thing that
Yeah.
she's trading, just that with a different understanding. Okay. When you have a cipher, what does it say? Buy, right? You want to buy
Yeah.
here. Okay. When you have a butterfly, what do you want to say? This is sell.
So,
This they are saying buy. Okay. But when you see this, what do you see? It's not a QM high, low,
yeah.
higher high, lower low. It's the same pattern. But this pattern is telling you to sell. So you see, it's the same pattern, but different approach to it. You get the point. So
Yeah.
there's a support resistance here. This one is telling you to buy. You buy and you're putting your take profit here and never hit and then goes down, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
among all the things that I'm trading, there are things that I don't play with, which is the transformation, the SNRC2, okay? The S transformation SNRC2, QMM. I like the QMM more than the QM. Okay, QMM is like this. Okay. I
Yeah.
like this one more than the QM itself.
Okay.
Right? So this is my number one, my number two, number three, and my fourth pattern is the QMC. So I like those things. Now, my favorite is the SNRC2 and the transformation.
Okay.
My favorite is those things. Now, if I find an engulfing like this, and I go down, and I'm able to see that this engulfing pattern looks like something like this. It's
Mm-hmm.
SNRC2. So it's the same thing. Right? So even me, I have preference. Okay. So when I teach you all, you sit down, you look at the chart, and you see that there are things that you are really, really familiar with. You master them. And you see, the problem is that we trade too much. Okay. You have to you have to take quality trade. Okay. So now when you get to that level where you want to create your strategy has to follow the following. The first thing your strategy should give you is a bias, which is direction. If you are approaching the market and your strategy is telling you just pattern without confirming direction, that strategy is not good.
Okay.
If a strategy is giving you pattern, without telling you that yes, yes, it's bullish, all right, but yes, you need to know the direction so that you know that if this buying that I'm buying is a short-term buy or it's a long-term buy, or it's against the trend or it's within the trend. So direction is the first thing, every strategy. Now, from the direction, your strategy should give you setup, okay? And your setup needs to have confirmation. Even your direction needs to have confirmation, but not by force. Once your strategy is able to identify direction, maybe you are using moving average. Moving average crossover tells you direction is sell. This is good, right? Because it is giving you the direction.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, setup, confirmation, entry, and then it will give you a way of managing your trade. These five keys are important, especially one, two, three, four. Very, very important. Okay. All right. So let's go on. Now, in in the engulfing strategy, right, you need to be able to identify direction, as I said. So, direction is this. You want to know where the market is going. Okay. And if you want to know where the market is going, right, seeing engulfing, then you want to focus on the higher time frame. But let me say this: direction is not limited to the higher time frame. What is a higher time frame? It's a time frame that you think is higher. So we know the daily is a higher time frame because it's higher than 4 hour. Okay. For all you know, sometimes me, my direction is just on the 4 hour.
Hmm.
So if I'm looking at a 4 hour chart and I have an engulfing, I can use the 4 hour engulfing as my direction. So for instance, I have a 4 hour engulfing level here. Okay. When price comes to the 4 hour engulfing, it creates maybe a 30-minute engulfing. Once I have that 30-minute engulfing, I've confirmed direction. And direction is going to be from this 4 hour buy to the next 4 hour sell. It's direction. Just that it is not as big as what the monthly or the weekly or the daily. Okay. So to simplify things, I have stated that direction should be on the daily and the weekly. Okay. But when you master the daily and the weekly direction, then you can say that your direction is going to be 4H4. So that is how I get those quick trade. Okay.
Okay.
That is how I get those simple trade. Okay, let me show you some that you've seen, right? So for
Mhm.
instance, okay, look at this trade. What do you have? It's not a 4 hour engulfing.
Yes.
Price tap is a news. Price tap into the 4 hour engulfing. I think I got a trade earlier here. Okay, you see, price tap into the 4 hour engulfing goes up on 1 minute, right?
Mhm.
And then I find a pattern. So I've used that 4 hour engulfing that has rejected, that is rejecting. Price hasn't closed. Okay. Then I got this particular entry. So with price rejecting that 4 hour engulfing that you are seeing here, where is it? That you are seeing here, okay. I got that first entry. This is not the entry. This is the one you've seen. So after price closed above, it came back to it. So direction has been confirmed. I took again that entry. So I'm using just the 4 hour to determine direction. But look at my exit point. When I took that first trade, where did I exit? Look at it, right above it. Okay, right above the level. Okay. And
Okay.
why that level? Because there's an engulfing there. There's a 4 hour engulfing here. So if this 4 hour engulfing is able to give me that confirmation that you are selling, then when it comes back, I'll be a seller. But there was no confirmation. And it came back. So since there was no confirmation and it came back, I added position. And then I'm expecting to see price reach this level. And there's a reason why I chose that level. Okay. So when you master it, when you master that direction on the higher time frame, then you can convert it to a lower time frame. like 4 hour, and use 4 hour as your direction for intraday, right? So now for direction, we will use what the weekly and the daily. Okay. And we are saying that price will move from a weekly engulfing to another weekly engulfing. So if it starts from an engulfing buy, it will find support on an engulfing sell on the weekly. So we have a weekly to weekly storyline. Okay. So,
Okay.
and likely to find support what? On an opposing engulfing the weekly. So weekly has to end on a weekly and daily has to end on a daily. So if I'm looking for direction and I have, say, I have a weekly engulfing. Okay. So I have a weekly engulfing. Price tap into the weekly engulfing and I get my confirmation where I have to exit. My first point of exit is to look for the nearest weekly engulfing to find a range where price is going to move from that weekly to weekly. That is the nearest weekly engulfing on the opposite side. It could be an engulfing or an engulfing field. Okay. So now you have identified your range and you know that you are going to, once you have a confirmation, price is going to at least reach that weekly engulfing. So from that weekly to weekly, you are a seller. All right, as simple as that. Okay. So when it reaches that weekly, you are going to use the same process. So in this weekly, so for instance, if price reaches here and you don't have confirmation, then it's going to the next weekly zone, which is down here. If it gives you a confirmation within this trade, there could be weekly engulfing. If there are no weekly engulfing, then this is the next weekly engulfing price has to go to. But if within this zone you have a weekly engulfing here, then your weekly to weekly is going to be here, and then we sell to break. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So these are examples. Okay. These are examples. Price. This one we have a weekly engulfing here. Now look here. Price tap into the weekly. Where does it go? Weekly engulfing field. You see, tap
Yeah.
into the weekly engulfing field, right? Goes back from weekly, so we have a weekly to weekly, pulls back, doesn't reach there, comes back into the weekly, and from this weekly, where does it go? Back to this weekly, right? Or this weekly. You can say any of them. It didn't break, right? It didn't close above, so it is either this weekly or this weekly. But it went back to the weekly zone. If you were selling from this weekly, if you were selling from this weekly, let's say price comes back to this weekly, you are selling, right? Or
Mhm.
when it hit this weekly, where is the closest weekly you are looking at? This weekly. So you have a weekly to weekly, okay? Until we broke this weekly and came back to this weekly. So when you take this weekly, where is the nearest weekly? It is this one, okay? So price comes to this weekly, right? And you're selling, this is your weekly. Did price reject? He rejected. Okay, and went back to that same weekly zone, okay, before coming to this zone. Now, if you were buying from this weekly, where is the closest weekly? And not this, it is this, right?
Yeah.
So we have a weekly to weekly, but price broke that weekly, engulfing, failed, right? Which became a swap zone. Can you see?
Yeah.
It broke it, became a swap zone, immediate retest of the swap zone. And I told you it's really, really important when it breaks 2 times. Okay. So tap into it, back into that same weekly zone. So it got here, confirmation. So weekly to weekly. Okay. You could choose this weekly or this weekly. They are all within the same area. So weekly to weekly storyline. Price hit this weekly, you have confirmation, goes back into this weekly, broke the weekly. When it broke, it came to retest the weekly, right? It went to the SNR. We are not having an engulfing here. Rejected, came back, retested, and then continued going up. See? So, and the same thing will repeat on the daily. So it's the same story. On the daily, you have a daily engulfing, price taps into the daily engulfing, goes up. See, this is the daily nearest. It broke that daily, went back to the daily, the main daily at the top. Okay. From that daily, it came back to daily, the same daily zone, went back to daily. From this daily, it came back to daily. Can you see? Daily, daily. right? Broke the level, retested this daily engulfing, right? Into this daily, back to this daily, right? From this daily, we broke this daily and broke all the zone back into this daily, but it found some kind of rejection in this daily, right? Some support in this daily, broke the daily. From this daily, found resistance in this daily, broke the daily, right? Back into this daily, okay? Right? Now, we form a daily here, we tap into the daily, back into this daily, from this daily, up into this daily, from that daily, back to this daily, inside this daily, back to this daily, inside this daily, and back to the daily before we broke the level. You get it?
Yeah.
Right. So every engulfing is important. Okay, every engulfing is important. I very later maybe you get to know some of the engulfing that you have to choose. Okay, especially when you look left. When you look left and there's more rejections. Okay, when you draw it to the left, right, and you see the price has rejected, 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 rejected. It makes the engulfing important. Okay, it makes it important. So for instance, you draw this one back to the left, you see,
Yeah.
right? Rejection, rejection, rejection. You can continue to the left and you see the same thing. That a lot of rejections. Okay. All right. So we'll end this session and then we continue with the same link. So you click on the same link to rejoin. Okay. All right.
Um, so in the meantime, what else do you want me to like
No, no,
study
no.
or?
Click on the same link. We are not done. We continue. We are continuing.
Oh, okay, okay, okay,
So you click on the same link to rejoin. So I'll end this session and then you click on the same link to rejoin.
okay.
Okay. All right.